Hi, I'm Sarai. The day my mother-in-law, Margaret, nearly sent my 8-year-old son, Alex, to the hospital was the day our family changed forever. I'd always been cautious about leaving Alex with her, making sure she understood his type 1 diabetes management. But Daniel insisted his mother was responsible enough. Babe, Mom raised 3 kids, including me. She knows what she's doing, Daniel said, helping me pack Alex's diabetes supplies. I know, but Alex's condition is different. Does she understand his meal schedule is non-negotiable? I arranged the glucose meter, insulin, and snacks in the bag. I've explained it to her a dozen times. Regular meals, check blood sugar, adjust insulin accordingly. Daniel zipped the bag closed. It's just one day while we're at this work conference. That's what you said last time, and she called his condition dramatic right in front of him, I reminded him. Do you know how that made him feel? Daniel sighed. I talked to her about that. She promised she'd be more sensitive this time. Promises don't mean much when she thinks she knows better than his doctors, I muttered. Give her another chance, Sarai. Please? This conference is important for both our careers. Alex bounded into the kitchen, his Spider-Man backpack bouncing. I packed my games, Mom. Hey, buddy. I crouched down to his level. Remember what we talked about? Grandma needs to check your blood sugar before meals and give me my shot if it's high, Alex recited. And I need to eat every 3 hours even if I'm not hungry. That's my smart guy. And if you start feeling funny, tell Grandma right away and eat my emergency candy. And if Grandma says no? I asked quietly. Alex's eyes widened slightly. Call you right away on the special phone. I nodded, relieved that the emergency phone was packed. Last time Margaret had confiscated his regular phone, calling it a distraction. Daniel checked his watch. We need to get going if we're going to make the keynote. When we arrived at Margaret's house, I went through everything again, while Daniel loaded our overnight bags into the car. Sarai, dear, Margaret's smile didn't reach her eyes. You're being overprotective. I've read all about diabetes online. Some children are just dramatic about their needs. This isn't about being dramatic, Margaret. Alex's body cannot regulate blood sugar. If he doesn't eat regularly, yes, I know. You've told me repeatedly. She waved dismissively. Daniel turned out fine, and I never obsessed about feeding schedules. Mom, Daniel intervened. Alex's condition is serious. He needs to eat every 3 hours, even if it's just a snack. Children these days are so dependent. Margaret clicked her tongue. In my day, we ate at mealtimes, and that was that. None of this constant grazing. This isn't about parenting philosophy, I insisted. It's medical necessity. Of course, Margaret nodded, her tone patronizing. Now go enjoy your conference. I hesitated at the door. Call me for anything, okay? I mean anything. We'll be fine, Margaret said, already ushering us out. Won't we, Alex? Yes, Grandma, Alex replied, but his eyes found mine with uncertainty. His schedule is on the refrigerator, I called as Margaret began closing the door. And the emergency numbers. Goodbye, Sarai. Margaret's voice was firm as the door clicked shut. I didn't know then that my phone would remain silent through a day of medical neglect that would end with my son in tears, his blood sugar dangerously low, and my mother-in-law insisting it was all my fault for making him dependent on regular meals. Something's wrong, I told Daniel during the afternoon break, checking my silent phone again. Mom would call if there was a problem, Daniel reassured me. Would she? Last time Alex scraped his knee, she didn't call because she didn't want to bother us with trivia. This is different. She knows diabetes is serious. Does she? Because everything she's said suggests otherwise. It wasn't until we returned at 7 p.m. that we discovered the truth, through Alex's tear-filled confession. Mom, Alex whispered as I hugged him, Grandma said I was being spoiled about food. She said real men don't snack all day. She took away my emergency candy. She did what? I checked Alex's blood sugar immediately. The meter read 65, dangerously low. Daniel, get his juice box now! While Daniel rushed to the kitchen, I turned to Margaret, who stood with arms crossed defensively. He was fine until you got here and started fussing, she insisted. Always eating something every few hours. It's not healthy discipline. When did he last eat? I demanded, helping Alex drink his juice. Breakfast. He refused lunch because it wasn't chicken nuggets. Daniel returned, face pale. Mom, that was 11 hours ago. And you didn't think to call us? My voice shook with rage. The boy needs to learn he can't always get his way, Margaret said. In my day, children ate what they were given or went without. Did you even check his blood sugar? Daniel asked, his hand protectively on Alex's shoulder. That machine is just another crutch, Margaret huffed. Children survived for centuries without constant monitoring. Not diabetic children, I snapped. Where's his emergency phone? That little game device? Margaret shrugged. I put it away after he tried calling you. Told him he didn't need to bother you over a little hunger. Daniel's face darkened. Mom, that wasn't a game. It was his emergency line. Well, how was I supposed to know? All these gadgets look the same. Dr. Rivera's expression was grave during our emergency appointment the next morning. Extended periods without food could have triggered severe hypoglycemia, she explained, examining Alex. For a type 1 diabetic child, this isn't about discipline. It's about medical necessity. His grandmother didn't understand, Daniel offered weakly. With all due respect, Mr. Carter, Dr. Rivera replied firmly. This goes beyond misunderstanding. This was medical neglect. What would have happened if we'd been gone overnight as planned? I asked, my voice breaking. Best case? Severe hypoglycemia, confusion, possibly seizures? Worst case? Dr. Rivera's eyes met mine. I don't think I need to spell it out. Could this be considered endangerment? Daniel asked quietly. In my professional opinion, absolutely. Later that day, my friend Jen came over while Daniel took Alex for ice cream, a peace offering I found inadequate. You need to document everything, Jen advised, her experience as a social worker evident. What happened wasn't just poor judgment, it was dangerous. Daniel thinks I'm overreacting, I confessed, hands trembling as I made coffee. He says his mother made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to check blood sugar once, Jen countered. Deliberately withholding food from a diabetic child all day is something else entirely. She said I've made him weak, I whispered, that I'm too overprotective. That's gaslighting, Sarai, Jen said firmly. Have you talked to Parker at Legal Aid? He helped when my sister faced medical custody issues. You think I need legal help against my mother-in-law? I think you need to protect your son, Jen replied. And if Daniel won't stand up to his mother, you need backup. When Daniel's sister, Emily, called that evening, her reaction surprised me. Mom did the same thing to my friend with celiac disease in high school, Emily revealed. Insisted gluten sensitivity was all in her head and fed her regular bread. She was hospitalized. And you're just telling me this now? I gripped the phone tighter. I didn't think she'd do it again, Emily's voice cracked. I should have warned you. The confrontation happened during Sunday dinner at our house. Margaret arrived bearing a cake for my special grandson, as if nothing had happened. Before we eat, I said firmly, we need to discuss what happened Friday. Must we ruin dinner with this again? Margaret sighed dramatically. The boy is fine. He's fine because we intervened, Daniel said, surprising me with his support. Mom, Alex could have gone into a diabetic coma. Always so dramatic, Margaret rolled her eyes. Children are resilient. A little hunger never hurt anyone. For Alex, it's not a little hunger, I explained. His pancreas doesn't produce insulin. Without regular food and medication, his body cannot function. In my 40 years of raising and caring for children, Margaret began. None of whom had type 1 diabetes, Emily interrupted. Mom, this isn't about parenting philosophy. It's medical. You too? Margaret looked betrayed. I suppose Sarai has convinced everyone I'm some sort of monster. Dr. Rivera explained the risks, Daniel said. This isn't about blame, it's about understanding Alex's needs. That doctor has you all fooled, Margaret declared. Always running tests, prescribing medications, it's a racket. Fine, Margaret huffed. I'm sorry if I didn't follow your excessive scheduling. Happy now? This isn't about my happiness, I replied coldly. And no, I don't accept that apology because you're not actually sorry. You still think you were right? What do you want from me? Margaret demanded, voice rising. To grovel? I want you to acknowledge what you did was dangerous, I said, and that you will never make medical decisions for Alex again. This is ridiculous, Margaret stood abruptly. Daniel, are you going to let her speak to me this way? Mom. Daniel's voice was quiet but firm. Alex could have died. Oh, for heaven's sake! Margaret slammed her hand on the table. You're all overreacting. Fine, if you want to coddle him until he's useless, go ahead. But don't expect me to participate in this charade. That's your choice, I replied. But you won't be alone with Alex again. You can't keep my grandson from me. Margaret's face flushed crimson. When Daniel remained silent, Margaret stormed toward Alex, who had been quietly listening from the doorway. This is your mother's fault, she hissed at him. Remember that? As she pushed past, Emily blocked her way. Mom, stop! Get out of my way! Margaret shoved Emily roughly, causing her to stumble into the wall. You just assaulted Emily, I said, reaching for my phone. I'm calling the police. Police? Margaret laughed bitterly. Over a little family disagreement? You're pathetic. It stopped being a disagreement when you put hands on someone, Daniel said, helping Emily to a chair. Officer Ramirez took statements from everyone present as Margaret insisted she was the victim. She's turning my family against me, Margaret sobbed theatrically, over one little misunderstanding about snacks. Mrs. Carter, Officer Ramirez replied, pushing someone is assault, regardless of family disagreements. I barely touched her, Margaret protested. Emily, tell him! Emily showed the bruise forming on her arm. I'm not lying for you this time, Mom. Mrs. Carter, I'm issuing you a citation for simple assault. You'll need to appear in court next Tuesday. This is absurd, Margaret sputtered. We're family. Family doesn't mean immunity from consequences, Officer Ramirez replied evenly. I arranged for a protective order, Parker explained the next morning, based on both the medical endangerment and the assault charge. Is that really necessary? Daniel asked, still struggling with the situation. Yes, I said firmly. Your mother refused to acknowledge she did anything wrong. She endangered Alex and attacked Emily. What exactly does a protective order mean? Daniel asked Parker. It means she can't contact Sarai or Alex without supervision, Parker explained. And she'll need to complete diabetes education and anger management classes before the court considers lifting it. The hearing was set for the following week. Margaret arrived with her own attorney, her expression martyr-like as she spotted us. Sarai, she approached during a recess, voice honeyed. We're family. Can't we resolve this without all this legal nonsense? I admit I may have been a bit old-fashioned in my approach. Old-fashioned would be making Alex eat vegetables he doesn't like, I replied. What you did was medical neglect. I've done some research now, she persisted. I understand better about his condition. I'm truly sorry if I didn't handle it correctly. If? I echoed. There's no if about it, Margaret. You deliberately withheld food from a diabetic child to prove a point. People make mistakes, she pleaded. Haven't you ever made a mistake with him? The difference is I learn from mine, I said, and I don't blame others when I'm wrong. The judge granted the protective order, restricting Margaret from unsupervised contact with Alex for 6 months, with mandatory diabetes education before reconsideration. This isn't over, Margaret hissed as she passed our table. He's my grandson. And he's my son, I replied calmly. His medical safety comes first. 3 months later, Daniel, Alex, and I sat with family therapist Dr. Chen, discussing boundaries and healing. How are you feeling about everything, Alex? Dr. Chen asked gently. Safer, Alex replied. Dad says Grandma has to learn about my diabetes before she can watch me again. That's right, Daniel confirmed. And even then, only if you feel comfortable. Do I have to? Alex asked quietly. No, I assured him. Your comfort matters most. Later, as Alex played in the yard with his cousin, Jen joined me on the porch. How are you holding up? She asked. Better than I expected, I admitted. Daniel's finally understanding this isn't about his mother's feelings. It's about Alex's safety. And Margaret? Complying with the court order, at least outwardly. Taking the classes, seeing the therapist. I shrugged. Whether she's actually learning is another question. She asked me yesterday if I thought you'd accept an apology dinner, Daniel mentioned, joining us. For what purpose? So she can play victim again? I told her it was too soon, Daniel replied. That she needs to complete the court requirements first. And actually mean her apology, I added. One step at a time, Jen advised. You've already won the important battle, protecting Alex. I often wonder, what would you do if someone endangered your child and then blamed you for it? Would you find the strength to stand firm even against family? Sometimes love means drawing a line that can't be crossed and being brave enough to defend it.